Hey, all you happy lost souls. How's everyone doing? If you're new to the channel and just found it, please hit the subscribe button. The channel is growing and it helps connect people's finds, people's ideas, and please hit the notification icon so you stay notified, the little bell. Anyways, Happy Lost Souls is just a one-man operation. Besides some of the music, I collaborate with some of that with friends and family. I write my own original music, and I've been doing a ton of research on ancient lost cultures in America, and especially in southeastern Pennsylvania, where I'm from, and the fact that I found a large amount of artifacts that are made out of aluminum oxide. Aluminum oxide, when it's really high quality, nice specimens of aluminum oxide, we call them sapphire or rubies, depending on the color. Sapphires and rubies can be any color under the rainbow. Rubies are red, sapphires are pretty much any other color that is aluminum oxide. Pure aluminum oxide, when it forms, is crystal clear. Let's see if I can find a piece for you. So in its purest form, aluminum oxide looks just like this. Now sapphires and rubies, these are very, very valuable. And to find these in alluvial deposits and in little creeks in southeastern Pennsylvania is really something that is absolutely amazing. So the sapphires can change colors and also be color changing. Like, for instance, some of these dark ones will shift to purples and blue under certain light. The reds will shift from red to brown under certain lights. You get a lot of the blue you can see coming out in that matrix C back there. And you get these color shifting properties. You get these beautiful rubies. Now, how do you get a ruby? Essentially, a ruby or a different color sapphire that isn't clear has some trace metal contamination in it when it was forming. So the sapphire forms or grows, the aluminum oxide needs aluminum. And what this area is uniquely known for are the geological upticks, where parts of the mantle were pushed up between a fault, between two plates. A lot of the mantle and minerals and different elements that got pushed up and exposed to oxygen never usually ever get exposed to the surface of the earth. So a bunch of weird formations happen in this area. Because of the high metal content, especially the aluminum and tin content within the schist and yes, within the different schist and shale layers in this area, in between these schists and shales, these pockets of air form, and if this material is heated up to the right temperature for the right length of time, aluminum oxide crystals will grow out of it. If it's heated up for a different amount of time, you get other complexes that will grow out of it, such as Wissahickon schist being the big one. Here's an example of that. And you get the schist with these black, dark red, crimson, beautiful matrices of garnet. And each one of those little blackish red, little diamond-looking shapes is a piece of garnet. It's only really found in the Wissahickon. It's very unique. So once I realized within the Pennypack and Wissahickon, I got all these tools, knives, picks, hammers, blades, animal pendants. This is a pressure flaking tool with a horse, its eye, its mouth, side profile. Here's a sapphire or corundum aluminum oxide growing right out of the schist. But what they did is they shaped that top layer so it would be like a relief into the head of a woolly mammoth. You see the trunk, the nostrils in the trunk. You see the mouth. You can even see the tongue. We have a milky, creamish, a gold sheen sapphire shaped into the head of what could be a fox or a wolf. All these little turtle effigies, a turtle head, a shaft straightener made out of yellow sapphire, corundum. And this is really astonishing. And I got a gem light. You could see right into a lot of this stuff. You don't notice it when it's rough, but most of the stuff is transparent. This is all rough sapphire, rough gemstone. This is a big piece of yellow. It was shaped into the grip of someone's hand, and at the end here, it's got this little protrusion. And this is for downward pressure flaking, for flaking other stones, and I can't think of another material that would be better than corundum at flaking because of how hard and robust it is. Harder than steel. It'd be like using a steel tool. You get these picks and these drills made out of it. You get the gem light on it. You can see how transparent this stuff really is once you get the light on it. And as for all this stuff, you can see right through it and right into it. And these are all hammers and tools. Here's the turtle head right there. Yellow turtle head. You got a lot of different turtle head effigies. Little side profiles of turtle, shell, feet, head. The snapping turtle in the penny pack, the alligator snapping turtle, is pretty much a miniature dinosaur. Look them up online. They're specific and they're endangered, and their lineage goes back 90 million years. So we get more tools made of sapphire. You get some color changing little points there made out of blue. And yeah, so this people, here's one. Here's a great point made out of yellow sapphire right here. And the argument I get from a lot of skeptics that look at my stuff, they'll say, "Oh, they're just rocks. None of them were shaped or touched or altered because I don't see chipping or flaking techniques I'm familiar with." This material, this corundum, it grows in sheets and different matrices, barrel shapes, squares, hexagons. And all they really had to do is take sand from the creek, which was all in the area pretty much pulverized corundum, so very abrasive, and water, and a grinding stone similar to this material that's extremely abrasive. We're really not sure what it is yet, this material. We find tools in it. And you can rub this material with the sand and smooth it into the shape you need. And you get this perfect kite or rhombus-like shape that would be perfect for a spear. You didn't need to flute this. This stuff is so thin, but it can never be snapped. It's so hard. You can't break this stuff. It's way harder than glass. It's right under diamonds. So it didn't need to be cored. It didn't need to be cored for strength. You could keep the whole thing thin. And you can see that shape repeated a lot with this material, the diamond and rhombus shape for spear points. We get tons of little knives and drill bits, and I don't know who was working with it. But right in southeast Pennsylvania. And here we go. Here's where we trace back and we say, all right, all these tools that we found made out of gemstones, well, there must be a ton of gemstone in the area, and by God there is. And that's kind of what you're seeing right now. You're seeing all types of corundums, different colors, all aluminum oxide. You get rubies like this when there's chromate exposed to the formation. So chromates and different iron oxides get introduced to the formation of aluminum oxide, turning the natural form of it, the clear stuff, in giving it a color. Yellow happens from sulfur oxide, different metals, hematites, different clays, giving off different metals. You get these color changing, these beautiful yellowish citrine color sapphire. We have another piece that's even more splendid right here, beautiful sapphire. And then we get this unique color that some people will mistaken for like golden healer quartz, but this is an orange or pinkish sapphire known as a parachèted sapphire, or I forget the word, begins with a P, but it is really the type of color that's most valuable in the sapphire world, and that's why I have a website that's going up to sell some of these, and the money and proceeds, a good majority of it will go back to cleaning the waters of America, and the other majority will go to building the channel for research. And really wanted to show you how you identify these corundums. First of all, out of all the rocks, when you're in a big rock pile in a creek along a alluvial deposit, you'll see different rocks piled up and you'll start seeing patterns. This stuff, again, it forms in these blocky-like shapes. You get a perfect example of a corundum here in a barrel-shaped formation. This stuff has color-changing properties. It'll look brown in one light. It'll look red or crimson in another. It'll look black in one light, blue in another, blue in one light, purple in another. I have a lot that color change. They'll try to keep this very square shape. You can see all the boxiness to this corundum. Or a barrel. You can see that this was part of a larger barrel formation corundum. But what you get with these is these beautiful, beautiful stones. And if you get a gem light like this, a rechargeable gem light, you can really start seeing inside of your crystals. You see how these things light up. Like this one is unreal. This thing here, this thing lights up beautifully. And you can really start seeing that these things aren't just as dull as you think they are. They have like you could see right into these. That this ruby is gorgeous right here. And you can see that the light is going to shift when it gets into different colors. It's going to go from purplish to red to blue to purple. You get these different color shifts in the different light. So you really see some of the sapphire coming out in that one back there. Look at the blues. And you can see that this thing's really just a big solid square corundum. A massive ruby back here. Rubies are very valuable too, and they're the hardest ones to find because they can look like just sandstone or old stone, brown stone when it's covered up with dirt and silt. But these gorgeous rubies, like you can see right into these. Some of these are insane. And I can see into these rubies. They're just gorgeous. Okay, so on to the next part of the video. So I already told you about identifying the shapes, and some of these are still in their matrices. Like look at this one, you can still see the faceting, the flat edges, this very triangular faceting, a hexagon running this way, another diamond, a rhombus, hexagonical shape running that way. It's trying to keep that faceted form. This is a big piece of yellow, beautiful piece of yellow sapphire. It's actually very high quality. It looks like it may even have some red running through it. Not like this color, which is really rare, this yellowish red color. We got more of it here. And I call them home plates. A lot of times the corundums will form these patterns that look like home plates, or maybe even an arrowhead at first glance. You see that very like the home plate on a baseball field. But again, these are all corundums. And they're hard, like I said. They're right under diamonds. So what I have here, and what I'm going to show you how to use, is a diamond reader, or the fancy term, a hardness detector. I recommend this one if you're on a budget, HMKIS. These things can go up to $200. This thing's only about $12 to $15 on Amazon, and this particular one is very accurate for its price. So I recommend it. So I'll show you how to use these and how they work real quick. The first thing I want to explain is let's set a base reading for our instrument. So let's make sure the instrument actually works and does what it's supposed to do. So we're not getting false readings. So remember, sapphires are really hard. They're harder than glass. They're harder than porcelain. And quartz is equivalent to the hardness of glass because glass is made out of melted sand, and sand is quartz, and that's a silicate. So the stuff that it gets mistaken for the most, a lot of the clear sapphire and yellowish sapphire, it gets mistaken for agate. I'm going to have to do this in two parts, I guess, because my video keeps getting cut off. But I will continue. We're going to continue on with the hardness detector, and this one is about 15 to 20 bucks on Amazon, the HMKIS. It's the cheapest battery operated hardness tester that's very accurate. And to start this, I'm going to give you the baseline, how to use this correctly, because if you're not using the tool of measurement correctly, you're getting false results. Also, to check your instrument, make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do before we get into the testing of everything. So I have down here, I have a bunch of corundum, sapphire, aka sapphire and ruby, and all different colors of them. And I also have a porcelain tile underneath of it, and I have crystal and glass. Now, the sapphire is harder than crystal and glass, and it's harder than porcelain. Glass is the same hardness, measurement, and principle as quartz because it's melted sand or melted silicate. Literally just melted quartz that's remolded crystal. And I want to show you, you have a chart on the back of your reader. Now, this reader is really meant to be used on small, cut, polished stones. It's really meant to test to see if you have a fake or real diamond in your piece of jewelry. And you can see that it says for 0.6 carats and higher, which every stone I have here is in the 80 to 100 carat or higher range. Some of them are thousands of carats in weight. To use 1, 2, or 3 depending on the temperature of your room. Now, none of that really matters, because what you're going to see is if we start at a baseline, and now how we operate this and make this work effectively is there'll be a little rubber nipple right here, a rubber nipple on the end of the instrument. We're first going to remove that. The instrument is turned on and off by this toggle roller here, and we're going to roll this to the on position. It's going to click and it's going to light up, and we're going to roll it on until it gets 2 bars on there of green. We're just going to let it sit. We're going to let it sit until that second light turns on that says lamp on and ready. Turn that light off so we can see better. It'll take about 30 seconds to a minute, and then it's on. And what that does is this little metal plate on the back, that's a temperature, that's detecting the ambient temperature of the room. And that sensor on the front is a heat probe, and when I touch it to a surface, it's going to shoot a little bit of heat in and then measure the reflection of the heat to get the hardness. So let's put it, I'm going to put it up to around a 5 or a 6. It doesn't really matter where we started. I'm putting it up that high so the harder things will beep. Okay? So we're going to test this glass right here. We're going to see what we get. This is crystal. So it's going to go up from about a 6.5 to about a 7.5, 8. We'll check regular pane glass. And you want to make sure that your hand is not covering up that metal plate on the back when you're testing things. That'll ruin the results because it adds heat to that sensor. So we're going to pull that off, and it's going to drop back down to about that 5.5, 6 mark there. And it's going to go up the glass to about a 7-ish or an 8. Now let's test something harder like a ruby and see what we get. If I can get this thing on there. And you got to make sure it's on a flat surface of the stone. Ah, shoot. Okay. So yes, we're going to be in about the 9 to 10 range on these rubies. If I can get this thing flat here, let me try to get it a flatter position for you. Make sure it goes back down to its baseline. Really got to get it into a flatter spot there. Where's the flat spot? Yeah, there we go. I cannot get it to sit still right now. My last video was fine. Yeah. We'll try this clear one. Try this one here. Again, we can turn it down just for a good measure. I'll turn it down to like a 4. When I put, well, it's on about a 5 right now. When I put it on the porcelain, it's going to go up about 1 light. About 1 light on the porcelain. About 1 light. Okay, on the glass, go up, yeah, about a half to 1 light. On the harder stuff, it goes up 3 lights, all the way up to 9. And you can see that this is this stone here, this planchetted one. I got a big piece of sapphire here. And it's always going to be up into that 9 area. Whereas your porcelain and your glass are going to stay down into the 7 and into the 8 range. And you want to test something like really soft, you can even put it on like some rubber down here. And plastic. It's not even going to move. On the glass, it'll go up 1. But when we get onto these harder stones, especially when I can actually get it onto the stone, we're going to go all the way up to 8. 9, 9, 9, 9. The big boy. 9. Porcelain. 7.5, 8. Glass. 7.5, 8. Ruby, sapphire, 9 to 10. So from that baseline, it's going to go up about 3 bars when you're in the sapphire area, at least. So, and I mean, it's all the stuff that is identified as aluminum oxide is exactly correct. And that is why when you scratch a porcelain tile with a corundum or a ruby, it will never, ever leave a mark on the tile. It's not going to leave any kind of mark behind on the tile. It will, however, take pieces of the tile up with it because of how hard it is. But this is a yellow sapphire here. Big piece of clear sapphire here. And you can still see the faceting, the triangular faceting in it. This one you can see the faceting on the edges, the real sharp edges. And when you get a gem light on this stuff, it really comes to life. I mean, you can see right inside of these stones with the gem light. There's no mistake on what you've got, you know. You really see that. Beautiful ruby. Look at that come to life under that light. It's just really crazy. You can really see all the colors shifting under the lights. But again, sorry about the camera work. I just kind of wanted to explain a couple things, get some more content up. But who was building all these crazy stone tools out of the sapphire, and hooks and saw blades and hammer heads and knives and pendants with horses and woolly mammoths carved in them out of sapphire on shale, shaft straighteners in the shape of turtle heads, yellow sapphire. That light up. Look at this. This is a pressure flaking tool made out of yellow sapphire. You wouldn't even know that was yellow sapphire, how rough it is on the surface, but it's all corundum. Drill bits, sapphires, and somebody in southeastern Pennsylvania, about 12 miles outside of Philadelphia, sometimes even closer, 20,000, 30,000 years ago, was making artifacts. But anyways, again, if you need a hardness reader, these are about 15, 20 bucks on Amazon. Diamond tester, HMKIS. It's a good way to quickly test the hardness of your stones accurately. Again, use base materials to get a reading. Pick some materials you know are harder and some that are softer, mainly softer. Is you're going to have a diamond usually or some kind of metal to have something harder than the sapphire. And again, if you have a porcelain tile or the bottom of an old back of a toilet, if you run a hard piece of ruby or sapphire across it, it's never going to leave a mark. This type of stone is harder than a tile. It's not going to leave a big black mark or anything on the stone. And in contrary, it's going to take parts of the tile up with it because it's harder than the porcelain. Anyways, if you find cool things in creeks near your house or on your property or where you're allowed to hunt for rocks, please post if you find any unusual arrowheads on your land. Arrowhead rules are a lot different than finding gemstone specimens, so please be careful of the rules in your area. And a lot of these rules are absolute BS in a lot of circumstances, and I'll get into that in another video. But just be careful, know the rules, and find some treasure right under your feet, especially in Pennsylvania. We're extremely rich geologically in parts of Pennsylvania, and we just don't know we have all these treasures under our feet. If you like this video, check out my other videos about the sapphire, lost sapphire culture of North America. Check out the videos about the lost silver mines of the Susquehannocks, all of which I've been doing a lot of research with, and believe a lot of these artifacts are connected to ancient mining activities going back, I don't know how long, but a long time. Anyways, just be a happy lost soul, and subscribe, and be safe, and stay humble, and be happy, and look for some rough gemstones, especially if you're in southeastern Pennsylvania. Look around in your yard. You might have a 70-pound sapphire that was part of your back hill, just sitting there. But eventually, a lot of these will be put up for sale. I do have a website. I could put the link in the chat below and pin it. The website is not done yet. It's under construction. You can view items that are posted for future sale, but you cannot buy anything yet. The domain name isn't registered. There's no point of sale yet on the site. So I was hoping by the end of this month to have that up and running. A lot of stuff going into the process of getting that website built, especially when you're unfunded and by yourself doing this kind of stuff. And I've been working on this research for about 15 to 20 years on this absolutely massive collection. Every one of my drawers is full with artifacts. I have tons of Tupperwares, all different things just filled with artifacts over time periods. I have tons of pottery. I have lots of cool geological stuff like fossils. This is just on hand right here, a big piece of fossilized coral. There were shallow oceans all around this area a couple 100 million years ago. So these are all little things I'm working on, and these are a lot of my higher end sapphires and cool color changing stones that are a lot of them are still in matrices. They're still in their actual crystal formations. Some are absolutely huge, huge pieces of corundums. Get these awesome blue ones and color changing ones, but for a long time, up until about 3 or 4 years, well, maybe about 5 years back, I didn't even know all this stuff was corundum. I'm mistaken a lot of it for quartzes, granites, marbles, different things, but never crossed my mind that, hey, this might, because there's tons of garnet in the area too, hey, this might be corundum. And then I really just confirmed it with some of the pieces I found, because they're still in corundum matrices. They still keep this square shape. Some are very diamond looking, still in shape. And this corundum grows in that bar in that weird formation, and they're pretty easy to identify. Sometimes they'll even look like a fossilized, like a horn or antler. And you see the formations in the corundum as this barrel grows in layers, as it's pushed in between the sheets of shale all around it. It can't grow in that. It can only grow in the pockets out of the shale where the air is. The aluminum is exposed to oxygen, creating aluminum oxide under certain heats and conditions that I guess were perfect in this area. And that's why pretty much everything around here that looks like quartz isn't. It's all aluminum oxide. And that was only through testing and finding out that we had rough ruby. And this is the rough rubies, first ones I ever had identified. This is identified as a rough piece of corundum here because of its shape. See, it's like a home plate almost, but it's not pure. It's like considered industrial grade corundum. And this is the one that I actually had identified accidentally when I took a big piece of stuff that I thought was like some form of diamond before because of how hard it was. That was identified as quartz as well, but I'm starting to think that may be sapphire as well. So anyways, very interesting. I've had some of the stuff professionally looked at, but none of the real high grade stuff yet. Some of the stuff I post on sales just in comparison to very similar ones that have sold in the past. To get authentication on these is tons of money, but if a stone is super, super special, I will go through the process of getting certification on it before posting it for sale, so I know how much it's worth and no one's getting screwed over. Most of the ones that are posted now, they'll be posted for sale under what value they really should be substantially. I have so much of it, I have drawers of it, it's everywhere in my area. And you can find this in Maryland and Connecticut too as well. It really follows the soapstone and schist and shales because it's growing out of that, and where there's metals, a lot of metals, especially the weird amount of metals in this area from the mantle being pushed upwards, you get all these different colors. You get these oranges and these pinks and these yellows and these browns that change to red, known as pigeon blood. You get these crazy rubies and these real clear pieces of sapphire, and these beautiful ones that are pinkish clear, that are worth a lot. They look pink in certain light and clear in others. These are all very valuable rough gemstones, and I haven't made a dime on them yet, but maybe it's my future retirement. Who knows? But anyway, if you find this stuff interesting and want to see more, I post a couple videos a month usually, sometimes 4, sometimes 2, sometimes if I'm really busy 1. There's a couple different series. There's a myth and folklore series. I only got 2 episodes of that posted, and there's a lot of music. So explore the channel. I have no agendas. Feel free to comment whatever opinions you have, negative or positive. I really don't care. I don't read the comments very often. Every now and then I will. If you want to directly contact me because you found similar things or have questions, serious and legitimate, you can reach out to Happy Lost Souls 27 and direct message me on Instagram. Again, the Instagram is Happy Lost Souls 27. Again, thank you for watching the video, and stay tuned for some more stuff from Happy Lost Souls. And yeah, maybe someday I'll be able to save all the water in the area and retire, because that's the goal, to generate some money to continue the research and also to protect the areas and places where the stuff is found, nature, and to protect something that is extremely valuable to everybody, clean drinking water. So yes, anyways, again, please subscribe to Happy Lost Souls. Love you all, and have a great evening, great weekend, great week, wherever you're at when you see this. Just have fun, keep your eyes open, and stay safe. I love you all. Peace.